This week we've got a bunch of really cool new mods, a nice little variety of them, and a lot of them play together very, very well, so that has me quite excited. We've got some really cool stuff to look at this week, starting off with a brand new armor pack that has a whole lot of potential, known as the Resident Evil Pack Gunner Replacer by EvTital. Now, that's an interesting combination of words, the Resident Evil Pack Gunner Replacer. Initially, Resident Evil doesn't sound like it has a ton of place in Fallout 4, but this is specifically going to take some armors from the Resident Evil games and put them into Fallout 4. Now, Resident Evil just makes use of some real-life armors. There are a couple of things that are made up, particularly in the helmet and mask area, but for the most part, these are actually just real armors that are just taken from Resident Evil games. So, in other words, just a nice port, the same way that a Call of Duty port might work. And what's really interesting is that some of these have been redesigned to have gunner logos and fit pretty well in the game. Now, there's actually a pretty good variety of stuff in here. First of all, there's just a lot of armors and a lot of helmets and a lot of accessories, including gloves and face masks and other things. But there's also a huge range of timelines. So some of these armors are a little bit more modern, but there's nothing that screams overly tactical to me. And there's other things that take place in the 80s and 90s that honestly fit very, very well in Fallout 4. It has a very specific style to military police look that I quite enjoy and I think fits in Fallout pretty well. Now, the second half of this mod, the part that says Gunner Replacer, is also very important because this huge armor pack can be used to replace all of the armors for the Gunner faction. But it doesn't have to. There's two different versions of this mod, a standard version which is just going to include all of the armors, and a version that is going to have level-less integration, replacing everything for the Gunners. Regardless of which version you download, you will be able to craft everything in this mod at the chemistry station, which is great if you're trying to get a look at everything that's included, which there is a lot. There's also a ton of attachments for each of these, including different paint jobs. For example, any of the infantry or operator outfits, you can change out colors like black, olive drab, gunner, tan, different types of camouflages like ACU, multicam, etc. And some of them even have a Minuteman paint job, which is pretty cool as well. This intense amount of customization is included for pretty much every armor piece. Even the hazmat suit has some of these different color options, as well as all of the helmets and all of the accessories, which makes for a ton of different customizable options that you can mix and match together to make your very own personalized outfit. You can even come up with your own sort of faction scheme. You can take some of the Minutemen or Gunner paint jobs, pick your favorite armor pieces, and make that the new standard uniform for your settlers or your guards at your settlements. All of those options, plus a built-in faction overhaul, makes this a truly wonderful armor pack, and one of the most interesting armor packs because it kind of rides that line between lore-friendly and tactical, where you can kind of use it in any load order. There's some people who might be a little bit hardcore on the lore-friendly side that might not see this as perfect for their game, but either way, there's still a lot of potential here for this to be used by a lot of people out there. I think this is a truly fantastic mod. There's a reason it's at the top of hot mods right now, and it's one that I highly recommend. Definitely a fun one. If you want to check it out, it'll be linked down in the description below, along with every other mod you're going to see in this video. Now, this next mod has me a bit excited. It's known as the Cosmic Knife by JVL7. Now, if you're not familiar, the Cosmic Knife is a weapon from the DLCs of Fallout New Vegas. It's going to add a couple of variants of a brand new kitchen knife. Now, I know a kitchen knife doesn't sound super exciting, but sit with me here, I promise it is. It's going to have a standard kitchen knife variant, which is the standard Cosmic Knife, the one that is advertised and sold, but it's also going to come with a couple of variants, including a superheated knife, which you may recognize a little bit more. That's going to be very, very hot, red hot, in fact. It's going to do incendiary damage. There's also a unique version, which is the Greed of the Sierra Madre, which is going to have a nice ivory and gold look. I like that one quite a lot. And then there's also the Knife Spear. Now, that's one of the small things that has me excited. The Knife Spear is included in this mod, and the Knife Spear is one of my favorite weapons in Fallout New Vegas. Don't ask why. I know there's a lot of really cool guns and stuff in New Vegas, but the idea of just taking a long stick and wrapping 3 knives to the end and calling that a spear is really, really funny to me, and it fits that really cool post-apocalyptic vibe that Fallout is supposed to have. And having that included in the standard knife mod is also just really nice. Now, here's why this mod is important. JVL7 is behind a very, very important mod, which is going to bring a lot of classic stuff into Fallout 4. And this is just sort of a taste of that. Now, the Cosmic Knife itself is a little bit older. I'm not sure if it predates his current project to add in so much of this content, but it is just sort of good look at what you could get out of JVL. I believe we also just got a recent release. I may have covered it last week or the week before with all of the grenades from Fallout New Vegas. This sort of falls in line with that. We're going to be getting a lot of fun, classic stuff from JVL, and this is a really good look at the quality of the stuff we're going to get. Even though it is just a knife and a spear, you can see the really nice models and textures, wonderful integration. Overall, it's just a really good mod, and it makes a really nice promise of what's to come. Now, one thing that I really appreciate about these mods is that they are all added to the leveled list, which is awesome. They'll start spawning out in the world at level 10, and as soon as I downloaded this mod and I started getting footage, before I even got to recording this mod, I was already seeing it in the game. I saw a lot of raiders running around with knife spears, and honestly, that made me really happy. It's the perfect raider weapon, so I'm very happy with this mod. It's a really cool one, and it's probably not going to leave my load order. While it does seem pretty simple, it's one of those mods where it doesn't need to be fancy. A nice, simple mod that fits a really cool niche that's just going to be added to the leveled list, and I'll see it on enemies, and that makes me happy. Could even work as a pretty good early game melee, so if you want to check this one out, I highly recommend it. It's very nice. Now, the next mod we're checking out is actually a little bit older, but it's one that I've been wanting to cover for quite some time, and I think that we finally have a good reason to do so. We're checking out the M1014 Standalone Shotgun by ajhakra. I believe that this is the only M1014 for Fallout 4. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the only one in the Nexus scene. So that's pretty interesting that we haven't had one in so long, considering this mod came out in 2016. That's pretty crazy. But it's one of my favorite guns in media. I love using this thing in video games, and it's sad that we don't have many more options for it in Fallout 4. So I wanted to check this one out, talk about it a bit, because it's actually pretty revolutionary for the time that it came out, including custom animations, built-in scripted reloads, that's going to be bullet-counted reload, by the way, and some good attachments, some different skins, some fun stuff. And the reason I wanted to cover it in today's video specifically is because I think it works really well with a lot of the armors that we covered just a little bit ago in the Resident Evil pack. I think that the vibe of those armors and the era of this gun go hand in hand, so I really like that. Now again, for its time, this weapon is pretty revolutionary. Including those custom animations is huge. It's also going to have leveled list integration, so that's going to be really fun, and it is also scripted integration, so you're not going to have to worry about it showing up too often or replacing anything. It's going to work just as it should. It also has built-in compatibility with see-through scopes. It is a bit of an older mod, so that means it also has compatibility with AWKCR. There might be some people out there who appreciate that. I know it's not really something that many people care about today. Additionally, similarly, there's also compatibility for visible weapons, which nowadays you should just be using the classic holstered weapons, but if for some reason you're not, it's compatible with that as well. Altogether, a really cool mod that was absolutely feature complete when it came out, which is really nice. Honestly, it's really cool to see something like that that's so old having pretty much all of the amenities of a modern day mod. Now, that does mean it doesn't have compatibility with some of the newer mods since it was last updated in 2017, but I see no reason why you wouldn't be able to use this right now. Honestly, from what I can tell, it just works, so that's pretty great. In terms of customization, there are a good bit of options, a handful of different barrels, a handful of different sights, as well as some fun different stock options, allowing you to take the classic M1014 look into a really different direction if you wanted to, which honestly is quite fun. Taking the barrel down to something super short, having just a pistol grip, and then removing the sights, making the weirdest little semi-automatic shorty shotgun you've ever seen, is quite a bit of fun. Not to mention, having the custom animations on this thing that are completely unique to this mod, somehow I've actually never seen these animations before, is really fun. And having that on a completely funky looking gun is really cool as well. So I was having a lot of fun recording for this thing because it's just a fun mod to use. It's something I could see myself using some more in the future. The next mod we're checking out is one that I really enjoy. Surprisingly, it only came out very recently. It's known as Melee Tools by BashminScallops, or sorry, BashminScallops. It's really used to seeing Brahmin in the context of Fallout. This mod is going to add a whole bunch of melee weapons that come in the form of standard tools that you would see in your adventures in the Commonwealth. So that's pretty interesting. Now, the way you actually acquire these is also pretty interesting, but there's a lot to get through. First of all, let's talk about the kinds of weapons you're going to find. You're going to find things like ball-peen hammers, screwdrivers, claw hammers, bone saws, wrenches, bigger hammers, wrenches, etc. There's all kinds of stuff in here. There's also heavier weapons like shovels, which are going to be two-handed. There's a really big variety, and there isn't exactly a complete list of everything. If you want to see that, the best way to do it is to go over to the chemistry station. Now, the hard thing about that is in the chemistry station, you're going to see a lot of options. Rather than the attachments being available as, well, attachments at the weapons workbench, they're just going to be separate variants of the weapons. So there's like 4 or 5 variants of each of these weapons in the chemistry station, which makes it a very, very cluttered menu, and that's kind of crazy, but it's still really nice to have those options. Now, the way that you obtain these is that you take the existing tool from the vanilla game, whether it's a screwdriver or a hammer or a saw, over to the chemistry station, and you're going to combine that along with some other parts and with specific perks, and you're going to be able to convert them into a melee weapon. I really wish there was a way to make it so that all of the miscellaneous items that you find throughout the world would just be converted to the weapons automatically. I'm not sure how hard that would be to do, however. I think that there is a way with the replacing item framework. I forget what exactly it's called, but I know it exists, but I'm sure that it's probably pretty difficult. Either way, having this option is going to be nice regardless. I would like to see this added to the leveled list personally, because this is going to be something that you'd like to see raiders using. A bunch of raiders just using tools that they found around makes a whole lot of sense to me. But for now, at the very least, they are craftable and there's a whole lot of them. So if you're playing a real ragtag survivor and maybe you have a mod that reduces the spawn rates of most weapons, if you find some tools, you'll actually be able to convert them to something a bit more usable in the wasteland, as something that can actually protect yourself, besides being just used as junk for crafting. So that's pretty cool. It's the idea of the mod that I really, really like. The mod just takes the regular tools and makes them into weapons. I think that there's been a couple mods out there that have done something similar, but this one's a bit more recent. I don't think I've covered anything like it previously, so it's definitely something I wanted to shed some light on. And finally, that's going to take us to the last mod of this video, which is going to be known as Escape from Boston, the Omen Watchman by Salient Phantom. It's going to be another pretty modern tactical weapon mod, but a pretty cool one. A nice new DMR that has a lot of the amenities you want out of a modern weapon. It's going to include really wonderful custom animations, built-in support for tactical reload and see-through scopes. Matter of fact, see-through scopes is going to be pretty much required if you want to use some of the scopes, if not most of these scopes in this mod. But it is worth it because the reticles look really, really nice and make this thing really fun to use. This thing has tons of customization, including many different barrels, muzzles, magazines, scopes, and stocks, as well as separated grips from the stocks, which is always nice. A couple of different skins that allow you to change how this thing looks. I believe there is tan, black, and a sort of navy blue, so that's pretty cool. And much like the M1014, this one matches really well with some of the armors in the Resident Evil pack, so that you get some really, really cool vibes and looks out of this and those armors. Of course, there's a million different tactical armor mods that this can go with, but I do like that it works with something here in this video, so you can get a nice little grab bag of different stuff that works together in a very nice way. Whether you're a lore-friendly or a tactical load order, I think that any of these could work pretty dang well. Now, what's really cool, despite it being a modern tactical load order, it does have some of the really nice amenities that I like, including level-less integration. This thing will start spawning out in the world on level 35, specifically on gunners and at vendors, something that makes a lot of sense for a really nice weapon like this. For the sake of simplicity, the author has made this thing use 308 instead of adding a custom ammo type, which I do appreciate. 308 is nice and simple. It's something that's in the vanilla game. We don't need to have anything special to make it work. If it required another mod, I would understand that, but adding a separate ammo type just in this mod is not something I prefer. Having something that's completely unique. I really like that it's just using a standard rifle round so that you don't have to go and find something crazy or purchase a bunch of one specific ammo. Overall, a pretty simple weapon mod, but a pretty nice one. It's very, very cool, has nice AAA quality, and also level-less integration and the really cool stuff that makes it a nice, good mod. It's not missing anything, honestly, it just works, and it's great for a tactical load order if you're into that kind of thing, so it's one I would recommend for sure. With that though, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. It's been a nice, good bit of mods here this week. Some really cool stuff. Once again, if you want to try any of these, they will all be linked down in the description below. Go ahead and check them out and support the authors if you enjoy any of these. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video as well. If you did, consider dropping a like. It really helps with the channel, and it's free. And if you'd like to support my work directly, you can do so using the link down in the description to check me out on Patreon. That, of course, is completely optional, not something you should feel like you need to do, but it is there if you'd like to. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed once more, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!